Hello friends, this is the first lesson on the securities law and capital markets, and the first chapter is Securities Contracts Regulation Act 1956. The provisions of the act came into force on 20th of February 1957 after the notification was issued by the central government. In this we are going to see about the objectives and what is meant by clearinghouse, powers of SEBI briefly, and case law. Further, if we will have detailed discussions also, as there are many other legislations which we'll be seeing or regulations which we'll be seeing in this book. Objectives of the Securities Contract Regulation Act is to provide for the regulations of the stock exchanges and regulation of transactions of securities, equity, derivatives, debt, etc. Prevent undesirable speculation in the market and regulate the buying and selling of the securities outside the limits of the stock exchanges. Provide for the other ancillary matters connected with the stock exchanges, securities market, etc. What is meant by securities? Securities is defined under the Act, which includes shares, scrips, bonds, debentures, debenture stock, other marketable securities, pooled investment vehicle, derivative, units or other instrument issued by the collective investment scheme to the investors, security receipt as defined in the SURFACE, units or any other instrument issued to the investor by the mutual fund house or the pooled investment vehicle, or any certificate or instrument issued to an investor by an issuer being SPV, special purpose distinct entity, possesses any debt or receivable including mortgage debt, and acknowledging the beneficial interest of such investor in such debt receivable including mortgage debt, as the case may be. Government securities, such other instruments as may be declared by the central government to the securities, to be securities, rights or interest in securities. So what is meant by government securities? Government securities means a security created and issued whether before or after the commencement of the act for the raise of by the central government or the state government for the purpose of raising funds from the public, and in the form of loan, and having one of the forms specified in the provisions of Public Debt Act 1944. Central or state government seeks funds from the public as a loan and having any one of the forms as specified in the Public Debts Act 1944. That is where the government securities are defined. Recognized stock exchange. A recognized stock exchange is a stock exchange whether in or outside India, notified by the central government in the official gazette as a recognized stock exchange for the purpose of the provision of the act. Spot delivery contract and then specific delivery contract. Spot delivery contract means a contract which provides for the first is actual delivery of securities happen and the payment of a price, therefore either on the same day as the date of the contract or on the next day. So actual delivery of securities and the payment of price for the delivery happens either on the same day as at the date of contract or on the next day. The actual period taken for the dispatch of securities or the remittance of money, therefore through the post, being excluded from the computation of that period aforesaid if the parties to the contract do not reside in the same town or locality. If Sir Desikant resides in Vellore, from there he wants to transfer the securities to Mr. B, Mr. Balaji, who is residing in Chennai, then the delivery happens on the subsequent day and the payment also happens on the same day, whereas delivery happens on the next day, then it will be considered as the spot delivery contract for the purpose of Securities Contract Regulation Act. Transfer of the securities by the depository from account of a beneficial owner to the account of another beneficial owner when such securities are dealt with by a depository. There are two depositories, friends, NSDL, CDSL. Your parents or your friends or someone known to you might be dealing with the stock market. They will be having a demat account and the account will be held through a depository. NSDL full form is National Securities Depository Limited, and CDSL is Centralized Depository Services Limited. They will be the registered owner for the purpose of the demat form of account, and whoever holds the account through them and holding the shares or stocks or debt through them will be the beneficial owner. So when Desikan transfers the shares to Mr. Balaji through his demat account, demat account will be usually 16 digit alphanumerical for the NSDL, numerical for the CDSL. So when they transfer from one account to the another, it will happen seamlessly without any trouble. Thing is, you need to furnish the proof of consideration payment to the depository through the stock exchange dealers. Specific delivery contract. Specific delivery contract means a commodity derivative which provides for the actual delivery of specific qualities or types of goods during a specified future period at a price fixed thereby, or to be price fixed in the manner thereby agreed, and in which names both the buyer and seller are mentioned. Specific delivery contract means a commodity derivative contract where the actual delivery happens on a future date of on a future period of specific qualities or types of goods, and the price is fixed immediately or in the manner specified therein, where both the buyer and seller's names are mentioned. What is meant by derivative? Derivatives are contracts. Again, definition is coming here. So first the explanation. Derivatives are contracts which derive their values from the value of one or more of other assets known as underlying assets. Derivatives are contracts which derive their values from value of one or more of other assets known as underlying assets. The derivative itself is merely a contract between two or more parties, and the value is determined by fluctuations in the underlying asset against the equity of a company. If you are going to get a derivative in the derivative market, then based on the fluctuations which happen in the equity market for the particular entity, here the underlying equity is the underlying asset there. So here the derivative instrument will also undergo the changes. The most common underlying assets include the stocks, bonds, commodities, currencies, interest rates, market indices. SCRA defines the derivatives as including a security derived from a debt instrument, share, loan, whether secured or unsecured, risk instrument, that is hedge fund related, or contract for differences or any other form of security. A contract which derives its value from the prices or indexes of prices of underlying securities, commodity derivatives, and such other instrument as may be declared by the central government to be derivatives. Corporatization and demutualization. Corporatization means the succession of a recognized stock exchange. For example, OCTEI, over the counter OTCEI, over the counter exchange of India, and NSEI were there. Corporatization means succession of a recognized stock exchange being a body of individuals or a society under the Societies Registration Act by another stock exchange which is a company incorporated for the purpose of assisting, regulating, controlling the business of buying and selling, dealing securities carried on by such individuals or society. So corporatization means succession of a recognized stock exchange. Earlier the stock exchange entities were floated by the dealers, stockbrokers, stock dealers in the share market, and they can be body of individuals or there may be a society registered under Societies Registration Act 1860, wherein such form of stock exchanges are taken over by another stock exchange which is via entity company incorporated for the purpose of assisting, regulating, controlling the business of buying, selling, dealing in the securities carried on by such individuals or the society. A stock exchange being a body of individuals or society registered under the Societies Registration Act to be changed by the succession into a reconstructed company limited by shares and registered under the Companies Act. Corporatization has been made mandatory under the SCRA, where the SEBI will consider the notings how the corporatization will happen. It will give the final approval subject to many other mandatory conditions which are required to be satisfied. Demutualization, where the process of demutualization is to convert the traditional not-for-profit stock exchanges into a for-profit company, and this process is to transform the legal structure from a mutual form to a business corporation form. In mutual form, there is no necessity for earning profit, just to deal in the securities. However, for-profit company will be in a business corporation form. Demutualization means segregation of ownership and management from the trading rights of the members and reconstructed stock exchanges as per the scheme approved by SEBI, so as to strengthen their governance, avoiding conflict of interest. The OTCA, NSE, NSEIL have all undergone the corporatization demutualization process. Purpose of demutualization is as follows. Usually the stock exchanges are owned by members who tend to work towards their interest alone, which could be on occasion detrimental to the rights of other stakeholders. Here, division of ownership between the members and outsiders can lead to a balanced approach, removes conflicts of interest, create greater management accountability. Further, publicly owned stock exchanges can enter into capital market for the expansion of business, and publicly owned stock exchanges would be more professionally managed than the broker owned, as there are certain criteria for the companies who are in the stock market as prescribed by the SEBI. Demutualization enhances the flexibility of management as there is segregation of the entity. Clarity of roles will be there. Withdrawal of recognition, if in the interest of trade and public it is warranted, and the central government may withdraw the recognition by serving a notice, a written notice of its intention to do so, with the reasons and giving an opportunity of being heard to the stock exchanges regarding the withdrawal of recognition. No such withdrawal shall affect the validity of any contract entered into or made before the date of notification from withdrawal takes effect, or it may provide suitable mechanism for the due performance of any contracts outstanding as on the date. What's meant by clearing corporation? Just a minute, friends. Regulation 2, Subregulation 1, Clause D of Securities Contract Regulation, Stock Exchanges and Clearing Corporation Regulations 2018 defines a clearing corporation means an entity that is established to undertake the activity of clearing and settlement of trades in securities or other instruments or products that are dealt with or traded on a recognized stock exchange, and it includes a clearing house and a limited purpose clearing corporation as defined in the provisions of that regulation. An entity associated an exchange to handle the confirmation, settlement, delivery of transactions, fulfilling the main obligations of ensuring transactions are made in a prompt and efficient manner. Clearing corporation is responsible for the following activities: for clearing and settlement of all trades executed on stock exchange, deposit, collateral management, risk management functions, bring and sustain confidence in clearing and settlement of securities, to promote, maintain short and consistent settlement cycles, to provide counterparty risk guarantee, to operate a tight risk containment system. Friends, if something fails here, the NSE, BSE are again empowered to take actions, issue circulars. They are allowed for doing inspection and debar the clearinghouse or the stockbroker from dealing in their exchange. Again, if anyone wants to fight a case against the stock exchanges, they may apply to the SEBI and SAT. So SAT will also, SEBI might also do an inspection. If anything is defaulted here, then you are being taken to the hands of law. The purpose of clearing corporation is to periodical settlement of contracts and differences thereunder, delivery of and payment for securities, any other matter incidental to or connected with such transfer. This is given in this regulation itself, in this act itself. The definition I had told you is from the regulation 2018. A recognized stock exchange may, with the prior approval of SEBI, transfer the duties and functions of a clearinghouse to a clearing corporation being a company incorporated under the Companies Act 2013. Additional trading floor, this is again inserted as an amendment. Additional trading floor means a trading ring or trading facility offered by a recognized stock exchange outside its area of operating to enable the investors to buy and sell securities through such trading floor under the regulatory framework of that stock exchange. A stock exchange may establish the additional trading floor only with the prior approval of SEBI in accordance with the terms and conditions stipulated by the SEBI. Even NSE had additional trading floor where the stockbrokers has taken advantage sometimes due to the quick access of information apart from one centralized unit, so by which they have violated the norms, as well as NSE had violated norms in if I'm not wrong. Stockbrokers, I remember wherein the SEBI pulled up them, and regarding additional trading floor also, SEBI advised the stock exchanges to take additional security measures, and it should be same as the normal stock exchange. There should not be any variation in the information given to the stockbrokers. Powers of SEBI under the Act: to grant recognition to the stock exchange, withdraw the recognition of stock exchange, call for information explanation from the stock exchange, to make enquiry into the affairs of stock exchange, call for the returns from the stock exchange, call for annual report returns, approve the rules and make modifications of the stock exchanges, direct the rules to be made or make rules for the stock exchanges, supersede the governing body of the recognized stock exchange, that is the board of directors chairperson MD, suspend the business of RSE, declare the contracts in notified areas as illegal. Section 17A deals with the areas which are illegal wherein a stock exchange can operate, to prohibit the contracts in undesirable speculation, to exempt the class of contracts from application of SCRA. Further, friends, missed here public issue. In here, the corporatization, demutualization of stock exchanges is beneficial from the perspective of raising the investment, since it ensures increased access to the resources for capital investment raising by way of equity offerings or private investment. Further, it leads to greater participation of the investors in governance of the stock exchanges and allows greater flexibility and access to the global markets. Moving to the public issue and listing of securities. Every issuer intending to offer the securities or instruments referred therein to the public shall make an application before issuing the offer document to the public to one or more recognized stock exchanges, NSE, BSE, for permission of such certificates or instruments to be listed on stock exchanges or each such stock exchange, which is known as preliminary approval, pre-listing approval we used to go. Where the permission applied for listing has not been granted or refused by the RSE or any of them, the issuer shall forthwith repay all the monies, if any, received from the applicants in pursuance of the offer document. And if any such money is not repaid within 8 days after the issuer becomes liable to repay it, the issuer and every director shall be liable, who is in default, shall honor from the expiry of 8th day, shall be jointly liable to repay the money with 15% interest per annum. In reckoning the 8th day after another day, any intervening day which is a public holiday under the NA Act shall be disregarded. And if the 8th day so as so reckoned is itself such a public holiday, there shall for the purpose of said purpose be substituted the first day thereafter which is not a holiday. For example, 8th of August 2020, the Bombay Stock Exchange says that ABC Limited is not application for listing of its securities is not accepted by the RSE, as it does not complied with the norms specified by the SEBI and the rules or circulars issued by the stock exchanges. Now, within 8 days from the 8th of August, you have to repay the money, the ABC Limited. However, 15th of August falls as a public holiday under the Negotiable Instruments Act. So, for that purpose, it shall be substituted the first day thereafter, which is not a holiday, which is 16th of August. If it's a Sunday, then the next day. Delisting of securities. A recognized stock exchange may delist the securities after recording the reasons therefore from any recognized stock exchange on any of the grounds or grounds as may be prescribed under the Act. The security of a company shall not be delisted unless the opportunity of being is given for the company and its people. A listed company, that is the officers. A listed company or an agreed investor may file an appeal before the SAT against the decision of an RSE delisting the securities within 15 days. Within 15 days from the date of decision of RSE delisting the securities. The SAT may, if it is satisfied that the company was prevented by sufficient cause from filing the appeal within the said period, allow it to be filed within further period of not exceeding 1 month. For example, due to COVID pandemic and lockdown was announced. During such period, the investors or the company may not be able to file the application before the SAT. So there were certain extensions given apart from 1 month also. Continuous listing requirement. Every listed company other than a PSU, public sector undertaking, shall maintain public shareholding of at least 25%. The public shareholding in listed company falls below 25%. Such company shall bring the public shareholding to minimum 25 within a maximum period of 12 months. Within a maximum period of 12 months from the date of such fall in the manner specified by the SEBI. Here again the professionals are recognized to represent the company. CS has the right to legal representation. The appellant may either appear in person or authorize one or more CA or company secretaries or cost accountants or legal practitioners or any of its officers to present his or its case before the SAT. Before moving on to the case law, Section 23I deals with the power to adjudicate by the SEBI. The SEBI may appoint any officer not below the rank of a division officer for holding an inquiry in the prescribed manner under the Act after giving a person reasonable opportunity for the purpose of imposing penalty. Reasonable opportunity of being heard for the purpose of imposing penalty. Again, here they will have the powers of the civil court. While holding inquiry, the adjudication officer shall have power to summon, enforce the attendance of any person acquainted with the facts, circumstances of the case, to give evidence or to produce any document which in the opinion of the adjudicating officer is essential for conducting the inquiry, and if he is satisfied that the person has failed to comply with the provisions, he is empowered to impose the penalty, such penalty as he thinks fit in accordance with the Act. Again, SAT shall not be bound by the procedure laid down by the CPC, but shall be guided by the principles of natural justice and subject to other provisions in the Act. The SAT shall have powers to regulate their own procedure, including the places which they shall have their own sittings. SAT shall have, for the purpose of discharging the functions, powers CPC of a civil court under the CPC, wherein they have the power to summon, enforce the attendance of person, require the discovery and production of documents, receiving evidence on affidavits, issuing commissions for the examination of witnesses, reviewing its decisions, dismissing an application for default or deciding it ex parte, setting aside any order for default or any order passed by it ex parte, any other matter as it may be prescribed. Again, if there is any default by the stock exchanges for submitting the reports within the timeline, periodical reports returns, then the SEBI is empowered to levy penalty on such stock exchanges at least 5 lakhs, which may extend to 25 lakh rupees. Again, any person whoever fails, including individual who fails to comply with the SCRA or rules made under or any other bylaws made by the stock exchanges by the security for which no separate penalty has been provided. At least 1 lakh is the penalty liable, maximum up to 1 crore. Again, stockbrokers are also liable for a penalty of minimum 1 lakh, maximum 1 crore in case of any deviation or where the grievances of the investors are not redressed satisfactorily within the timeline provided by the SEBI. Moving to the case law, Pacific Finstock Limited versus BSE Limited. For listing of a security, the listing norms as on date of application filed alone is required to be considered, but the status of directors or the promoters are required to be considered as on date of passing the order on the listing application. So this is the contention. The appellant, who is the Pacific Finstock Limited, being agreed by the order dated August 2, 2019, passed by the SEBI Limited, rejecting the listing application, filed the present appeal. This is the fact. The facts leading to the filing of present appeal again is these are additional points. The appellant was a listed company. Pacific Finstock Limited was a listed company on the Vadodara Stock Exchange. These are regional stock exchanges like the Madras Stock Exchange, Calcutta Stock Exchange, Mangalore Stock Exchange, Vadodara Stock Exchange, Ahmedabad Stock Exchange. But subsequently, it came on the dissemination board of the BSE and remained for a longer period. SEBI issued a circular dated 2016 October 10 by which companies who are on the dissemination board are required to get their company listed on the National Wide Stock Exchange, that is BSE NSE, or provide an exit opportunity to the existing shareholders. In terms of the circular, the appellant submitted a plan of action to SEBI on February 16, 2017 and the revised action plan was submitted around 4 months later in June 2017. Meanwhile, the appellant, it's the Finstock, wide notice dated August 7, 2017 was identified as a suspected shell company by the BSE. Against this notice, the appellant filed an appeal number 264/2017 before the tribunal, that is the SAT, which was disposed of by an order dated September 29, 17, directing the appellant to make fresh application for direct listing, which the BSE would consider based on the merits. During the pendency of the application, the WTM whole-time member passed an order dated October 26, 17, directing BSE to consider the outcome of forensic audit. Forensic audit has implication here, then in the SEBI LODR as well as the company law, while considering the listing application. According, the appellant's application was to be kept in abeyance till the submission of forensic audit report. The whole-time member, in their order dated October 26, 2017, was subsequently confirmed by the confirmatory order dated August 2, 2018, against which appellant filed an appeal, which was eventually dismissed as infructuous in 2019. You need not remember dates, friends, just the gist of the case law, so that you can write down in exam either way of typing. I don't know how the exam is going to happen continuously. Pandemic is there, third wave is there. So anyway, hoping so you are able to write it in December properly. Meanwhile, the promoters, directors of the appellant company were debarred from accessing the securities market as per the SEBI order, which was passed in the matter of Kavit Industries Limited. This was informed, it was brought before the appellant and BSE sought clarification, SAT sought clarification as to how the company is required to comply with the requirements for direct listing of securities. Again, the appellant company intimated that 2 of its directors resigned with effect from April 15 and the tag, that suspected shell company, has been removed. BSE, after considering the aforesaid response, found that one of its promoters, J.S. Thakkar, continued to be remain as promoter of the company in spite of being debarred by SEBI in its order dated September 18, 2018. September 28, 2019, and therefore the direct the listing requirements norm had not been complied with, so the listing application was rejected. So this is the fact. Before the tribunal, the only ground urged is that law which was applicable as on date when the listing application was filed is on July 29, 2017 could alone be considered. There is no dispute on this proposition, namely that listing norms as on date was in force when the application was filed was alone required to be considered. Subsequent norms or amendment norms or regulations are not required to be considered. However, the status of directors promoters are required to be considered as on date of passing the order of the listing application. If on the date when the listing application was being considered, the promoter directors committed default and thereby incurred a debarment from accessing capital market, then it was imperative upon the authority to consider such debarment while considering the listing application. In the instant case, the debarment was in direct conflict with the norms stipulated for considering the listing agreement. Such order of SEBI of debarment of one of its promoters, Jayesh Thakkar, was brought to the knowledge of the company. The said listing requirements norms were not rectified and consequently the BSE had no option but to reject the application. The said order does not suffer any manifest error of law. Friends, what are the conditions for listing IPO, FPO, rights, bonus, etc.? We'll be seeing in the specific chapters. And one more, there was a case law, Karvy Broking. If you had read in the newspapers, the National Stock Exchange of India Limited, that is the NSE, declared Karvy Stock Broking Limited KSBL as a defaulter for non-compliance with various regulatory provisions of the stock exchange. Also, it expelled them from the membership of the NSE. In 2019 November, the SEBI had banned Karvy Stockbroking from taking fresh business from allegedly misappropriating the money and securities belonging to its clients, to its investors, in order to fund its real estate arm, Karvy Realty. What they did is they usually take a power of attorney from the clients, that is the stockbroking clients, wherein they transferred the securities of the investors to their account, DP account, and from there they mortgaged it with the bank, wherein the bank had given loan, which is in violation of law. The first system is violation of law. NSE, while SEBI had initially estimated that Karvy had transferred 1096 crores to its real estate business, the NSE found that funds and securities worth 2300 crores belonging to the about 2.35 lakh investors of Karvy Stockbroking Limited have been settled so far. NSE also said that in coordination with the other market infrastructure institutions with the guidance of SEBI, transferred securities to respective clients, invoked the bank guarantees deposit with clearing corporations, and liquidated the securities held by Karvy Group of companies. So what happened is, the case pertains to Karvy unauthorizedly transferring securities of its clients to one of its demat accounts by misusing the power of attorney given by its clients. So this is the base case. Here usually the reporting has to be done, as we saw in the where the SEBI has powers. To hide this transactions, KSBL did not report the DP account number in its submissions to the NSE from the Jan to August period, and this was detected only during the inspection. Anyway, I will try to cover this case law also as part of the notes. Please listen to this video and let me know for any clarifications. The notes have been prepared by Desigan sir earlier, and we have been making updations to the notes and taking the class, friends. You can WhatsApp me for any clarifications. Thank you.